Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Today's episode is Army of Ghosts, episode 12 of season 2. Rose says that they keep trying to split them up, but they never ever will. Never say never ever, because never arrives today.
Ooh.
This episode was written by Russell T. Davis, directed by Graham Harper, and it first aired on the 1st of July, 2006. It was watched by 8.19 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's go around and introduce ourselves.
Hi, this is Brian.
Hi, y'all. It's Kelsey.
Hi, this is Auburn.
Hello, this is Frank.
We are Sans, Arlene, and Josh. We miss them both. Rose recaps her adventures with the Doctor and how she thought it would last forever. But then came the Army of Ghosts, Torchwood, and the war. This is the story of how she died.
Best cold open in the series of Doctor Who.
I like it too.
The first time I watched this, I like, what? And then every time I see it, I just get sentimental now. I remember it being very impactful the first time I watched it.
I think it's weird how it opens with a voiceover, and in school, you're told not to start things with the voiceover, but yet this one works.
Well, I think it works here because we know Rose enough that, you know, we know her story, we're invested in it, and yeah, we start listening as soon as we hear her voice disembodied by...
And I mean, this is different. This is a TV show rather than a movie, but still, the first thing I remember, like, what, they're starting with a voiceover that's really good. This is actually working.
But it's also a great visual recount of her travels with the Doctor, and showing Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, was really a great touch, I thought.
I was surprised that they did that even back then, because Eccleston's relationship wasn't as, great.
But it was still the Doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad they put it in.
Maybe that's why it's so short.
Yeah. I think Rose or Billie Piper looks amazing in that opening sequence. Like, she never looked that good. And then it really is impactful. Like, it looks different. It's more somber, like with the voiceover, and yet the visuals are great. Like, the wind is blowing through her hair, and then, like, the lighting is perfect and all of that.
I'd be interested to see the script and see if that was in the script or if that was something that was added later in post.
It could be, because nothing looks like that again.
Yeah.
I also like that they throw in a shot of a planet. They're standing on a planet, and we don't know what that adventure was.
I know. I want to go back to that planet.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, it's something we've said previously.
Yeah.
And it's great that we actually see that rather than them talking about it.
Yeah, they really do hint at there's a lot more going on than we actually see in the TV episodes, which I really like that.
And in that same scene, the Doctor asked her how long she's going to stay with him.
Forever.
And he's okay with that. And it's like he's gotten past that other, we have a relationship, but we can't have a relationship because you're going to die at one point. But it seems like that look that he gives her, they've gotten over that. It's like, we are somehow going to be together forever. Whatever forever means, but he's accepting it seems, in that look.
It reminded me of the scene later in this episode that Jackie has with Rose inside the TARDIS. And I think having that scene at the beginning makes that conversation more impactful. But I didn't recognize it at the time. But now I'm like, oh.
No, it does tie together. It does tie together.
Also, one thing about her monologue is she says the first 19 years of my life, nothing happened. I'm like, really? Nothing happened? I mean, I get what they're doing. They're making her adventures with the Doctor seem that much more great by saying normal life, nothing happened. 19
She got
years.
that gymnastics medal.
Yeah, but
Come on now.
I'm just like, really? Nothing happened? And in that shot where it cuts from Eccleston's Doctor to Tennant's Doctor in the TARDIS is super green. I don't know if anybody caught that.
Oh, the lighting inside?
The lighting inside, yes.
Yeah.
The console.
There's a lot of... Yeah. I think they had two
cinematographers
for this, and one of them really liked the green, and the other one didn't.
The TARDIS arrives on Earth, and Rose is excited to see her mother. After they hug, Jackie tells her that Rose's granddad is coming for a visit in a few minutes. Rose cautiously reminds Jackie that he is dead. So how can he be here soon? Jackie says to ask him herself. As a shadowy figure shimmers into the apartment, they run outside and see ghosts all around the neighborhood. Jackie tells them that they won't last long. Across town, a machine at the Torchwood Institute is turned off and the ghosts fade away. A woman congratulates her team for high measurements of ghost energy.
Did you mention that Jackie kisses the Doctor?
I love
Yeah,
Jackie
that's
just
great.
smothering him with kisses.
Yeah.
She is happy to see him, but she's also happy to be annoying him.
Yes.
He tries to get away, and she's like, "No, you don't," or something like that.
Very, very different from
Eccleston.
slapping his face.
They've come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also kind of like how they come out of the TARDIS and she's got the backpack on and it's just kind of like normal. It's very normal. It's like, okay, here we go. Laundry's on my, my backpack and we're just going home. And she's got a little gift for her mom, which is actually pretty useless. You know, you travel to an alien planet and you bring back this thing that's Bazulium, which is, you know, hot when it's going to be hot and cold when it's going to be cold. Pretty useless, but thanks.
It tells the weather.
It's a weather predictor. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's one of those tourist traps. It's like, here's a trinket.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's the
I
tchotchke.
get that.
Tchotchke, that's it. There you go.
That's funny.
But it also reminded me of like my mom when I would come back home and she was like, "You have laundry that I can do?" You know, she's looking for that. It's not like Rose is just like unloading onto her mom. Here's laundry, please do it. It's more of the mom being willing to take on that task.
Yeah, well, we were mentioning that Jack even started kissing the doctor and was grateful for him to be back. But it added to the normalcy. Like they were just on this hiking trip or whatever, and they're both back. They both come in with smiles. Everything's good. They're, especially after the cold open where Rose says this is the story of her dying. Now we see them as this big happy family. You know, we went from a low point to a high point, and now we're going to see how we get from there to Rose's death.
Yeah.
I was also reminded in that moment when Jackie is greeting them. I went back to that episode with Absorbaloff. What's that episode? Which episode?
In Monsters.
Yeah, where Jackie defends them even though they're not there.
Right.
And then she defends both of them and keeps their secret.
From
when
Elton.
she was greeting them, it reminded me of that scene. Like,
I loved how she said when they're outside looking at the ghosts, well, he's not happy when I know something he doesn't. That was a great little bit.
Wanted to point out that there's no Trinity Wells in the news footage montage. And I was
I noticed that too.
I was kind of hoping I would see her.
Yeah.
Even though I know she's not there.
You know
who's
why?
Trinity Wells?
She is the go-to American news anchor that they always go to. I don't know why I said that.
Oh, in the Doctor Who episodes?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But this one, she's not present. And Frank, you know why?
No.
Well, I don't
Did they
know.
even
Leading
have-
into you going,
No.
and why?
I'm sure it's scheduling conflict. She was busy doing something else.
Probably because Americans would be too busy trying to shoot through the ghosts.
And make money off of them.
Well, everybody was doing that,
Yeah.
all the commercials.
There's also really, really great music when they go running out to see all the ghosts outside.
It's even more driving than the Doctor's theme, I think.
Yes. But yeah, so this music is really, really good and will be used quite a lot because it will actually become the soundtrack for the Torchwood TV show.
Oh.
Yep, that's our introduction to it. And it's actually in this episode called the Torchwood theme.
Oh, nice.
And so it will continue to be the Torchwood theme.
And
It's
around.
really, really good music.
I did think it was interesting that as Jackie is telling about the grandfather coming back and the ghosts, also in that cold open, Rose mentions that the doctor took her in this magical machine to all these different worlds. But we still see Rose is a skeptic along with the doctor. You know, like, of course the dead can come back, you know, like they've seen much more fantastical things than ghosts. But she stays skeptical and inquisitive, scientific.
Yeah, but I think that's it. That she's like, these are not dead people coming back to life because I've actually seen it when dead people have tried to tell us that they're coming back to life and it turns out to be something that and something bad. I think it's natural that she's skeptical of this because she is going to think it's a trick.
And also for them, it's new. So that's why it's like shocking. Like everybody else went through panic and trying to figure out what's going on. So that's what they're going through. Yeah, you're telling me that, but that's not what I'm feeling. And that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this scene reminds me of the World War III episode where they go back and it's normal, but then something not normal happens. And I think this also happens with the Sladine episode where they Eccleston is supposed to bring her back 12 hours later or something, and then
It's 12 months.
it's 12 months, and then Rose has gone missing, and they're walking around like it's normal. And that's how I felt with this episode. She has the backpack, she's just going home, and everything's normal, and then all of a sudden the ghosts are introduced. And we get that in another episode in season 2. When they come back from the Cybermen episode, after she sees alternate Jackie die, she
Yeah.
comes back and it's normal, but then Jackie sees that it's not normal. So I think I like that theme coming back, like normalcy punctuated with something supernatural or not normal. And we get that with the ghosts.
Yeah.
It's been 2 months since the ghosts began to appear all over the world. At first there was panic, but then it became normal to see them. People are projecting their desires of who they want the ghosts to be, but the doctor tells Jackie that the ghost is not her father. Whatever they are trying to push their way into our world.
I thought it was interesting that Jackie's saying, yeah, this happened 2 months ago and you're not here. You know, vindicating Harriet Joan, Prime Minister.
We know who she is.
Saying you're not going to be here all the time.
Yeah.
There are times
No sign of you.
Back at the
Christmas
beginning,
invasion.
Christmas invasion, the first episode, or between season episode. It's like, you're not always going to be here, and we have to figure out how to handle it ourselves. So I just like that Harriet Joan gets vindicated. And that what she said was correct. Maybe her actions were too far in shooting down, the Sycorax.
I also love that this is where the doctor says a footprint is not a boot.
It's like one of our first clues. That's awesome.
It's also a great line.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a cleverly written line.
Is that a common saying?
It sounds like it should be, though.
Yeah, it's so well written. It should seem to be that. But yeah, and it's a great way to describe it because they're like, but they're human. And it's like, well, no, they're a shimmery humanoid looking thing. You don't know what they are.
Can we somehow meme that around and make that a thing? Footprint is not a boot.
This is also the moment where we do see actors. So we are seeing the news broadcasters. So we see Japan and France. But we also see there's a talk show where the woman's saying,
yes.
He's my husband. I married my ghost. That was a real Trisha.
Oh,
That's a real show. Yeah, and I believe it was her real set. And then there's also a shot of the woman in the bar in the pub. That's a very famous actress who's a longtime character on their soap opera called EastEnders.
Oh, okay.
Which is an
I heard of
incredibly
that,
it's an incredibly popular show that's been on forever. So they got her to do that, which I'm sure if you were in Britain you would like
What?
Yeah.
totally freak out seeing that, just laughing your head off. So.
Yeah.
I love her line, though. The only spirits we serve here
Yeah. So get out.
are gin and some
Gin, whiskey, and
vodka.
I think, yeah. That's very funny. At Torchwood, the woman, Yvonne Hartman, checks in with Rajesh, a scientist in the lower part of the building. He is monitoring a huge sphere suspended in midair and informs her there is no change. The sphere still does not register on any type of machine. Back upstairs, 2 Torchwood employees, Gareth and Addie, sneak into a section of the building that is under construction to make out. In this secluded area, they run into a Cyberman.
Dun dun dun.
I'll just say, can I just say, like, oh yeah, she would make a horrible companion.
Anybody else get that homage that's going on here? Now that we've seen the Tomb of the Cybermen.
Oh, yes.
Not until later. I didn't get it until later in the episode.
Because it's all plastic sheeting,
Oh, I didn't get that.
coverings, and then so they rip through it just like in Tomb of the Cybermen.
Later they
rip through
Yes,
it. This is just
here,
biggest reveal.
But you know what I mean. It's setting it up.
Yeah. This is the subtle hint, and then later it's the direct ripoff.
Yeah. But laying the groundwork now.
No. I like our introduction to Yvonne. She seems to be over the top and incredibly focused. But I do like she's like, okay, Raj is bored down there. So she asks somebody, send him something nice, something that will pass the time. So she's not. We're looking at a woman who may be incredibly focused, but is not a tyrant. Mm-hmm. I mean,
She's
she
a
might be
people person.
fascist. She might be a fascist
And a
but-
people person.
Yeah.
I didn't like her. You think you're like, oh, these are the people that are making the ghost appear. And so you're like, oh, that's kind of shady. What's up with that? Oh, this is the woman in charge. Oh, she's bad. That was my reaction.
Yeah.
To her.
She is. But my point is, they're still putting in. They're still trying to make her a bit 3-dimensional. Where she is kind of like, when we first see her, she's like, oh, give yourself a round of applause. Yes, I'm rolling my eyes, but because that's silly and stupid. But it is one of those. Hey, let's do those motivation nonsense things.
How to win over people.
Yeah.
I mean, she is charismatic, charming, slick, none of those
Yeah, I don't
are
trust
necessarily
her.
good or bad, but she's using
they're
it for her
bad.
own purpose.
I'm saying they're bad. I don't like her.
Yeah, I mean, she is the bad guy, but I do kind of like that they're trying to make her a little bit more interesting than just a one-note mustache twirling villain.
I think she's still a bad guy, but they made it so that she's not not manipulative, not mean-spirited. What she's doing, she thinks she's doing right.
Yes, she is firmly convinced that she is doing the right thing. It is just very wrong.
And she doesn't care how she gets it done.
Right, right.
To her, the ends justify the means.
Yes, she
You
is
can
that type of person.
And everybody else is so beneath her in the way that she sees things. These are the helpers. We keep them happy, and everything runs.
But I disagree with that. I don't see her as like these are just the underlings. I mean, she knows about Gareth and Addie,
Right.
And she doesn't care. I mean,
because
she's
it
like
keeps them happy and content.
But that's a good thing. That's
She knows Sebastian's name. She goes, "That's the way we make this work.
right.
We're people pleasers. We're people."
So,
You
but
know?
Lisa, I don't view it as
Yeah, it's probably that unwavering quality that doesn't allow for shades of gray that I.
Yeah, there are no shades of gray to her.
Got what I said. Perfect.
That's why I think we see her as too hard lined for whatever decisions she has to make.
But it is interesting that Torchwood is I'm assuming, a top secret organization that is dealing with alien technology and breaking barriers between worlds. But yet their fraternization policy, like she'll
So
just
loose.
look the other way, like, oh yeah, these security analysts, whatever they are, I'll let them go do their private thing. Not worried about security or what might happen to them or what allowing that relationship to bloom might compromise Torchwood's mission. That's just that was a little weird because it should be a little more
Business?
yes. Maybe she went
But she
too
doesn't.
far.
She
with
doesn't.
The people.
She doesn't like it when they're late.
Right.
When they come back late, she's like, "We'll talk about this later." And I, took her at her word. Yeah, they will talk about it later. But as long as it's not affecting their job performance, she seems to be okay with it.
And it also gets her in with the other people that she's talking to. See, I'm just one of you. Oh, yeah, they think we don't know about it. And she's getting that friendship with them.
Yeah, I guess when watching it again this time, it reminded me of like the things that happen with General Petraeus, with the Valerie Plame thing. Like it's always those little things that crack into any security apparatus. And I know that Torchwood might not be primarily about like intelligence security, but it is a top secret, very clandestine organization. And I think the Torchwood show gets more into the darker side of it.
Way.
Where
Definitely.
this is still like they're probably feeling it out and trying to be lighter because they are going to go a little bit darker. But it was still, I mean, it's just something that, if you were running a security operation.
Yeah, but they are two employees within the same organization. They didn't go outside.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, if you think about it from Yvonne's point of view, this is this top secret, beyond the UN secret institution. People can't have lives outside. These are the people that they get to choose from. And as long as it isn't affecting their work, I don't mind if they run off for a snog real quick on their break.
And because of what they did allow the Cybermen to get into that crap.
Yeah, it is
so you're right.
affecting the work.
It does. It's like, this was a lot more of a breach than you thought it was.
Well, that's kind of funny. I was about to say, well, you're not going to expect to have an evil robot that's going to convert people in your construction zone. But oh wait, this is Torchwood. Yes, you should expect evil alien things happening.
And that was the other thing, like I don't know. I mean, I bought the story, but just these are the gaps in the story. Because again, they're going down to this construction site. Like I understand that it's a building that they're trying to play as also a public building. I'm sure there's lots of offices. But yeah, you have 20 armed guards show up at the TARDIS appearing, but the Cybermen get a foothold like right underneath of you, and there's no
Like
warning,
alarm, yeah,
no
warning.
no bells, yeah.
Yeah, but they had plastic wrap between
Yes,
them.
yes, I
so
did
you
love the
couldn't see.
plastic wrap. And I did love the scene where Addie goes into and discovers the Cyberman because it feels big, even though it's very tight. Like it's all close-ups on her with plastic, but it still feels like a big area, though it could have been shot in like a
Right.
a 20 foot by 20 foot room. But it's still it feels ominous and big.
And it was cool that we get the reveal of the Cyberman. Like the Cyberman doesn't have to keep hidden from us because we've met them already. So we get the reveal earlier on, and I don't think it ruins the surprise later of who
Right.
the ghosts are. It's just like, oh man, there's Cybermen in the building.
We know what's coming and they don't.
Yeah, but like it's still a surprise.
It's like what? Go ahead.
Well, I think it helps. It also helps with the pacing. So we're not trying to constantly figure out what it is. They're showing us. So good, we know that. Oh, now there's more to come. So I think that helped with the pacing of the whole show. That, to me, this episode went by really quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say something along those lines where we know what it is, so the other two-parters keep us guessing, where this one
Right.
doesn't. And it's kind of like that Chekhov's gun device thing where you show your hand of what's going to happen, and then you have to address it later.
Well, see, I thought it was more of a distraction, though, for me to reveal this that the Cyberman is in the building. Doesn't mean that the ghosts are Cybermen. That's
Right.
what did you ever get that when I said that? Like, it was still a surprise for me as a viewer
yeah.
that the ghosts turn out to be Cybermen. Because just because I see
see
one
one.
Cyberman in a building
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that
Right.
I'm still at this point thinking that the ghost thing is a new phenomenon, or actually I feel like that Yvonne and Torchwood are creating these ghosts or something.
Yeah.
Right. But that they had the Cybermen, that was great. That they don't hide that till later
Yeah,
on.
they didn't
I'm so
have
glad.
to
I'm with
hide
you
it
on that, Gwen. You're right.
behind the plastic in that entire scene,
Right.
because we've already met the Cyberman or the Cybermen earlier in this season.
Gareth and Addie return to their workstations now wearing 2 earpods rather than just one as before, and prepare the Torchwood device for the next ghost shift. Jackie and Rose are in the TARDIS while the Doctor is outside setting up a device to triangulate the ghost's point of origin. They have a heart-to-heart about how much Rose has changed and that Jackie is worried about how much more she still could change. When the shift begins, the Doctor's device traps one of the ghosts. An alarm sounds at Torchwood that something is interfering with the ghost field. They shut it down, which makes the ghosts disappear, and use a CCTV camera to see the TARDIS. The Doctor has discovered the point of origin and sends the TARDIS to Torchwood. Yvonne watches the TARDIS disappear and excitedly runs to prepare for the Doctor's arrival. This is the first instance we get of Elonzi.
Yep. Our very first Alonzi.
I think this talks back to what you're saying about Rose saying nothing happened for the first 19 years. She's still fixated on, I only worked in a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is from Rose, who, when she meets other people throughout this whole season, she acknowledges them and what they're doing is valid. But for her, it's not good enough. So it's like she's almost elevated to almost
Contradicting.
in her own mind, being closer to the Doctor.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor says, ordinary people are great, but we saw in The Impossible Planet, I'm not one of them. I don't want to go live on a house somewhere. So she has that same feeling now, and that's what Jackie's talking about. You've changed. That's not good enough for you, even and you're putting it down that she used to work in a shop and nothing happened for the first 19 years. It's like she's definitely changed, and where is she going to go with this?
I love that scene.
Yeah.
I love the scene of the two of them in the TARDIS.
When even Jackie telling Rose, you're starting to look like the Doctor.
Right.
Rose says, yeah, like, you think I
As
do.
a compliment,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Jackie didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this scene is really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember watching this scene and being like, really? How many times in the series of Doctor Who has there ever been a companion that like spent their entire life traveling with the Doctor?
No.
So then, like, why would the Doctor like let her think that? Like, when he asked her, on that island or on that planet with the dinosaurs, like, how long are you going to travel with me? And she's like, forever. And he's like, sounds great.
Right.
Like, it's so sad that he's like, he knows that that's not a reality.
Yeah.
He knows that, like, traveling with him is dangerous.
But it seems like he accepted it now. He's changed
Yeah.
a bit where
He is open to it.
it was maybe not forever, but you can stay as long as you want type of thing, rather than
Yeah.
he's not going to end it because it's painful, that it's somewhere going to end, so we're going to end it now. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
like that's happening anymore. It's like, no,
I
you'll
totally
stay as long
agree.
as you want.
He's open now to more. And I do kind of feel like, if something happens in the future, they'll cross that bridge 20 minutes later, literally. But I think now he's like, no, I'm not going to restrain my feelings. It's like, no, I'm going to enjoy this now.
But that's the doctor's side. Rose still didn't learn from Sarah Jane what she was supposed to have learned.
No, she didn't.
So as that's what you're saying. It's like, how can Rose still get that? Yes, the doctor may say it, and it may be true, and you may be yay, but there's got to be part of you that still knows somewhere down the line this can change.
Right. Maybe that's what Jackie as a mom is like, fearful for her daughter.
Oh, I totally get Jackie's motivation.
And I love her retort to Rose. I used to work in a shop. And it's weird. It's like Rose has grown and matured, but yet certain things she hasn't matured in.
You have forgotten who you are, and therefore have forgotten me.
Actually, yeah. I mean, because to me, it's the line where she says, there's going to be this woman on some alien planet.
Walking through a market.
Walking through a market, and nothing of Rose Tyler will be left.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful thing for a mom to say to her daughter, because a mom doesn't, you want your kids to grow up and exceed your own expectations, but you don't want them to completely lose their past.
That's interesting you brought that up, because that also reminded me of the Cybermen. Because the Cybermen started off as humans, and then they kept replacing parts of themselves with robotics and over again. And then Jackie's making the same metaphor with Rose being somebody different.
Ooh, very good.
And I was like, wow, that's great.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
We'll strike that last part.
It's also interesting. This episode so far has been comic, sad. Like right before the Rose and Jackie scene, we've got Rose and the doctor singing Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? And they're just like being silly. I mean, he's actually strutting really silly as he goes out of the TARDIS. And then he sets everything up. And then, you've got Jackie saying, what's wrong with you? If our loved ones come back.
Accept it.
And he's like, I think it would be horrific. And it's like, I kind of agree with the doctor, but...
We are. I mean, it's like we're so overpopulated on the planet now. Could you imagine all the dead population coming back? Oh,
wait a minute.
That sounds like an episode further down, maybe with another doctor, 2, 3 down the road.
No, I think that's a case for Torchwood.
Yes, that too.
But it's there's a lot of tone shifts, and
Well, even
for the most part, they all work.
Well, even what you're saying when he traps or triangulates the ghost, and you're like, oh, the ghost looks like it's being hurt, and then all of a sudden it swipes at the doctor, and you're like, oh, we're in a different tone again.
Right.
But it still works.
Yeah, but the doctor is still also kind of like, ha ha ha, now I got you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of,
Well, when you start with such a somber cold open that foreshadows your main character's death, you've got to interject some silliness into this episode. Otherwise, we're watching it the whole time.
As one note. Yeah.
When Jackie says to the doctor when he's setting up the trap to trap one of the ghosts, why are you always reducing it to science? Can't you just let it be true? You're talking about her beliefs and her faith. And that's such a key point to me about so much of almost all these episodes of Doctor Who. It's like you can believe something, but let's find out if that something you believe is true. And so he does that through science.
Yeah.
That she's like, no, don't give that up. Don't try and disprove what I think.
you always come in and ruin it.
Right.
Kind of a thing. I also like that there's a quick little Gelth reference here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it could be the Gelth? And again, it's not.
Nice try.
Thanks.
Thanks for playing.
Just a little reference all the way back to the beginning of the Rose-Doctor relationship.
And the doctor puts on the old-fashioned 3D paper glasses.
Yeah.
Which, why does he do that? It's like, this is weird, but it's not explained until the next episode.
Yeah, no explanation. Nobody
just throughout this whole episode, he starts putting them on in different places. And what is he doing?
And nobody says to him, what are you doing?
I really like the props. I think this is a very prop-heavy episode. But
I like that backpack. That was
the
cool.
backpack and the ghost catching with Doodad with the lights and the dials and cables.
And little cone, ivy looking things.
I don't know how Jackie got up there, but I love that Jackie's just sitting up there going,
That is a great reveal.
if I had been on Mars, I'm going to kill you.
I also love how they edit it because it's really wide and it says, if we end up on Mars, and then cut a little bit closer. It's not like they go to a close-up, just a little bit closer, just to give it a little oomph. I'm going to kill you. I mean, it's very, very funny.
With her feet dangling.
Yeah.
We can still see the dangling.
It's just great. I love it.
Oh, but back to what Alvin was saying about the props of the ghost busting thing. It's interesting how that almost looks like it belongs in the TARDIS. It's got that coral quality hive looking thing, and then you think Ghostbusters because that's what they're doing, but then the gun isn't actually a gun. It's like charging up the different cones. And I like that. Again, it just goes to show you that the Doctor is not like violent.
Like he would use a gun.
He's not American.
Right. When the TARDIS materializes inside Torchwood, it is immediately surrounded by a military squad with guns raised. Yvonne shows up, and they all applaud the Doctor. She seems to know all about him and asks about his companion. He pulls Jackie out of the TARDIS and introduces her as Rose. Yvonne shows them around and tells them that Torchwood's motto is, if it's alien, it's ours. They confiscate any alien tech found or captured on Earth and use it for the good of the British Empire. The Doctor is their prisoner, and the TARDIS now belongs to Torchwood. Upstairs, Addie leads another co-worker, Matt, to the construction zone to be converted by the Cybermen.
Did nobody see the crack in the door of the TARDIS when it was being wheeled away? It was so large. When
No, I
Rose
didn't.
peers out,
Oh, how big she opens the
and, like,
doors?
you can you can see her. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
it is totally like, yeah.
What are these guys trained to do?
I always wondered that they see the TARDIS disappear and they know it's coming to Torchwood, but they seem to know exactly the point where it's going to appear within the building. I mean, they run immediately to the correct floor.
Before it materialized, yeah.
Before it materializes, the correct room, everything. So it's like, how are you able to do that? I mean, that's really advanced technology. I mean, really, it is we need the script to move the story along. I mean,
Yes,
they're
of
not gonna
course.
search for him, but it's like, okay.
Yvonne had a troop on each level.
Oh, okay.
So they just had to run in from out the hallway, from outside the hallway.
And there was a life model decoy of each Yvonne on each floor.
No, she wasn't there. She took her a while to get in. It was like all the military's there first, because then they had the scene, Rose saying, they have guns, you can't go out there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Cut scene. There's one guy be like, no TARDIS here, but there is some metal robot looking thing in the construction zone.
They're like, stay on target.
All right.
When the Doctor responds to Rose in that, saying, my bad impersonation, they can shoot me dead, but the moral high ground is mine. Reminds me so much of this actor, Richard Hayden, who was a radio personality. Then he went on to TV and Dick Van Dyke. I remember seeing him when I was younger. He was the voice of the Caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Most people, I think, would recognize him. Exactly. Most people would recognize him as Uncle Max in Sound of Music.
The Von Trapp family singers.
So
Okay.
here's his picture. But sorry, nobody out there can hear it. See him.
We haven't
but
got
yes.
video yet, Frank.
Ever since
an
the
audio
50s and
medium.
his radio shows, when he did impersonations of fish over the radio, which that just shows the kind of humor he had. It was just out there bizarre. But he over-enunciated and had that nasal tone. So I want to know if David Tennant or Russell are listening. And do you remember 10 years ago, was this a Richard Hayden joke? Did you get it from that? Because I just want to know, because it just, when he said it
stuck
made
out.
me think, this actor.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out, this is, we're getting a little bit more of a Yvonne characterization here when she's showing them around Torchwood. She's supremely confident. This is where she's, her arrogance is coming through. But the one line that always makes me laugh is when she's talking about the Magnum clamps, and it can hold up 2 tons. And that's an imperial ton. Torchwood did not go metric. And that's like, it's a great line, and, reminds me of us because, apparently, the metric system is from Satan, so America's not going to convert over to it.
Benjamin Franklin tried to get us to convert. And look, we're still here.
Yeah, because,
So
that's
weird.
how we are.
Going back a little earlier than that, even as the Doctor leaves the TARDIS and Yvonne has her rounds of applause for the Doctor and for the TARDIS, I really love David Tennant in this moment. He goes from so many emotions.
He does.
Like he walks out into this group of armed guards
With hands raised.
with
With
hands
the-
raised. Yeah.
Moral high ground.
Yes. But by the end of it, he's just eating up all the applause. He's like, oh, yes, it is very nice, the TARDIS. Yes.
And then at one point he's like, stop. You can stop now.
Yeah.
That look of disdain that he has when she says, we know everything about you. You always travel with a companion. The look that he gives her and then instantly changes to, oh, yes, here, and grabs Jackie out. This is Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But that
well
look
done.
that he gives her right at the beginning is just
I mean,
chilling to the
every beat is a different emotion
Right.
from him. It's just great.
I
love him
should
as an actor.
Oh, that's right.
And then Jackie, it's amount of miles, not years or something, or
Always
backwards.
constantly putting her down or
being
She,
older.
well, she fell into the heart of the TARDIS and aged 57
That's
years.
right.
I'm 40.
Which is a throwback to
Right, yeah, it's Age of Cybermen.
Yeah. And then like maybe we should walk slow.
Because her ankle's bad.
And then she says,
I'll show you where I'll put my ankle.
it's just some great, like, again,
Yeah.
things right there. I love it.
It's also the beginning of a bit where we get the Doctor and Jackie.
Yeah.
With no Rose. I don't think we've ever had that before. You know, maybe quickly, oh, there's a man in my bedroom from the pilot. But now we get this really good interaction and chemistry between the two of them, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
And what would it be like if Jackie was a companion?
Oh, it wouldn't last long.
I thought it would be great to watch. And just wondering, would he elevate her like he does everybody else? But she wouldn't have that romantic part with him. She would just give him back everything that he gets. So I think it could be a really good, interesting relationship to watch.
And is that Rose in 30 years? I mean, I just thought about it off of your comment.
Don't you mean 20 years? I'm just kidding. Yvonne takes them to see the sphere. Along the way, she explains that Queen Victoria set up the Torchwood Institute after the incident with the werewolf to keep Britain great and keep out the alien horde. In the sphere room, Jackie asks what's wrong with it, and Yvonne responds that it just gives everyone the feeling that they want to run and hide. Raj tells them that it doesn't register on any scans. No heat, no mass, and emits no radiation. The doctor looks at it through paper 3D glasses and says it is a void ship. It comes from the nothingness between universes. He asks how the sphere appeared, and Yvonne tells him it arrived just before the ghosts began to appear.
I actually am very proud of Jackie in these scenes. Like, she doesn't miss a beat. She goes along. She gets that having Rose stay in the TARDIS is best.
The best, yeah.
Not only does it keep her daughter hopefully more protected, but she will know what to do. Like, if Jackie was in the TARDIS, she wouldn't know what to do. It shows us, like, where Rose comes from. Like, this is her mom. They're very similar. Jackie's a good stand-in for Rose in a pinch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine if the doctor pulled Rose instead, Jackie would still be dangling at the top of the rafters.
I'm going to kill you. I do also like how you say, Jackie is okay with Rose being the TARDIS. So's the doctor. When Rose slightly peeks through the completely open doors as the TARDIS goes by, he just kind of gives a look like, yeah, everything's going to be fine. Like she's going to take care of it. Whatever happens to me, I know she's going to be solving the problems.
Yeah, I was actually a little upset at her when she left the TARDIS.
Why?
Because I think that she would have been able to do more inside the TARDIS. I mean, I get why she had to leave for the story, but in the moment, I was like upset at her for not staying.
Yeah, it's like that horror movie thing. Don't go upstairs.
Yeah,
There's no
exactly.
exit.
Don't leave the TARDIS. You're safe inside the TARDIS.
Then the doctor and Yvonne, you're never going to get in the TARDIS. Oh, yeah, whatever. We've done this before, etc.
Right.
I think that irked him a little bit more, going, no, you're not. You really don't know as much as you think you do.
And I don't want to get into a big conversation about this, but this is where the moment in the episode where we get the actual lines. They're doing this so they're keeping Britain great and fighting the alien horde. Fascism. Okay, I'm done.
And for the British Empire, there's no British Empire. Not yet.
Not yet.
Which is a good line, but they always want to be like, there was and there will be again. I wanted, just a little, yeah, you guys had a gigantic empire and it fell apart.
And here we get reintroduced to the Void, because this is first mentioned in the Rise of the Cybermen episode. That's how the Doctor explains where they went to a parallel world, like we travel through this to get here. And it's great that that's coming back in this episode.
I also like how when you're looking at the sphere, yeah, it's CGI, but the sphere slightly moves. It's moving just a little bit, like it's hovering just a little bit. And it took me a long time because watching it on the TV, I'm like, it looks creepy. I mean, how did they make the sphere look creepy? And it is, I think, just because it is slightly moving just a little bit, not enough to be noticeable. But I actually, whenever I watch the episode now, I'm actually looking at the edge of the sphere and the wall to go, yeah, it really is moving over a bit.
I like the room that the sphere was in. Of course, knowing how this ends, but the pillars, the color scheme, the background plating right behind the sphere, all is very reminiscent of the Daleks. Like the pillars have like a light on them that is round. I mean, it might be the art direction for the entire series being kind of similar, because then when I was looking for it, I noticed in the TARDIS it also had kind of similar colors. But on watching this time, the first time I saw the wide shot of the sphere room, I think when the Doctor walks in, it definitely gave me like the same kind of vibes as like when Clara was in the Dalek much later, but that same kind of feeling, like not quite, but we are
Similar.
in that same design universe.
They're definitely hitting at it. I haven't noticed that. I'll have to check the next time I watch.
And I like how, you know, we're given all of this information exposition wise about how this is bad. This is really, really bad. And then they walk away. The Doctor goes the wrong direction. You're like, no, Doctor, other. And then he just goes the other way. Like, not even skipping a beat.
Yeah. You have to end the scene on a joke.
Yeah.
Rose exits the TARDIS to the dismay of Kelsey and follows the scientist to the sphere room. Rajesh questions her and asks for her ID. She hands him the psychic paper, but Torchwood employees are trained to recognize it. He orders the room sealed and tells the first scientist to verify the lockdown. The scientist turns around and Rose sees it is really Mickey.
And now as a scientist, she followed all the way down.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And it's funny because the next time you watch it, knowing this, and you see him in the hallway, it's like, of course that's Mickey, because he's totally walking like Mickey.
Yeah.
The little hunchy shoulderly thing, you know, it's like he's walking like Mickey, but I never noticed until he said it yesterday.
Because even the commentary, they call it out. Look at that guy's walk. Just notice this walk. And then, yeah.
Because he's talking about his own walk. Look at how well that actor is walking.
I don't know who that is, but
Background actor, yeah.
And as she leaves the TARDIS right next to the TARDIS in the warehouse, there is a giant mummy sarcophagus case, which plays prominently in a Fourth Doctor episode called Pyramids of Mars. So that's a very famous, iconic bit of Doctor Who history.
I want to know if Mickey led Rose down there. Did he know? Did he see her looking around? Was he going down there? Because, like she did, they mentioned that their doctor was down there. So is he trying to meet up with the doctor? I was wondering why he went to the sphere room. What was going on? Not the sphere room, the sphere room.
Well, he had a gun hidden there, so.
I mean, was that where he usually worked? It just seemed, that little convenient of, there he goes,
Well,
and she's going to follow
knows him.
that.
No, I do think it is his
that might-
post, but
Because he wasn't surprised that Rose was there, that we saw. So I'm wondering, did he lead her down there? Did she follow him? But I don't think she really knew that it was him until he turned
Right.
around.
I don't think she knew it was him.
She was just drawn to him.
this walk.
Yes.
Yvonne takes them to the control room and shows them the blank wall where the sphere first came through. When they aim their particle engines at it, the breach opens and allow the ghosts passage. The breach was emitting signs for years, so they built Torchwood Tower as a way to reach it and use it as a power source. The Doctor explains the danger of the shifts and orders Yvonne to cancel the next one, which she eventually does. Addie, Gareth, and Matt wait for everyone to leave the room and activate the shift themselves.
There was one scene, I can't remember, it's up to this point, but I can't remember if it was right now or a little bit beforehand, where when they returned and they were already having the 2 ear pods, but in the background are just 3 extras, all with sunglasses. And it's like, yes, we're spies. Aren't you a spy? I'm a spy. Just the way they were looking. They were congregated there. Just caught me as really
very
funny.
X-Files in the background.
It's Torchwood's Internal Affairs division.
Yeah.
They're being audited.
And I like how they thought the ghosts were just some kind of side effect of, not even really mattering or caring what those ghosts were. It's like,
Right.
oh, what we really want is the power that
The
this
energy,
is going to produce.
Yeah, so here's where we learn that Torchwood isn't creating the ghost, as I thought at the beginning of the episode, but it's just something that happens when they shoot the
The particle.
particle arrays at the wall, which makes it worse because it's like, oh, you're just like
Poking a hornet's nest almost.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, I wanted just a little more explanation. How are you going to harness energy from this breach? I mean, they say it, but I just wanted a little more. That's all.
Well, that I think was going back to the beginning where she said how much power they got from this ghost shift.
Yeah, but how?
Or how much
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't know exactly how to harness it yet. That's
Yeah.
why they're there. We want to figure out how to harness this. But it went up to 5,000 megawatts or whatever she had said. So it's like, there's power there. We can get it. And
Also-
that's showing that she doesn't care what the side effect the ghosts are.
Also, coming from the experience of being in Torchwood, it seems this is their pattern all along, which is do something, get something, and then figure out how to get that thing to work. So I think they're just, oh, look, there's power. Boom, we'll get this power. Oh, look, there's side effects of the ghost. Well, they're harmless now. If that changes in the future, Torchwood is so supremely arrogant, they'll handle it and then turn around and use it to their advantage.
But are they supposed to be scientists or just people who are alien hunting? Because if they are scientists, they're really bad scientists for not wanting to research everything else that's around them.
Oh, yeah, they're not the best scientists in the world. Yeah. Who are you?
Hi, this is Arlene.
Are you been there the whole time, Arlene? Use a time turner to get there?
I'm here.
There was a breach.
And there she is.
They think they're scientists.
Yeah, but they're operating like a corporation.
Just because Mickey wears a lab
Like
coat doesn't mean he's a
military.
scientist.
Yeah. They're investigating things that they want to use.
Repurpose and
Yeah. They're not
exploit.
they're in it for discovery, they're in it for exploitation.
Sounds so wrong when you're using that much energy, like without someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I do think it was a really clever idea for Russell that there was this anomaly hanging, 400 feet above sea level. And the idea that the people had was, well, to get to it, we'll build a building around it. I thought that was a really great,
They
clever
built a
idea.
tower.
Yeah, they built a tower around it. And then what was
600
even...
feet. But little details. No.
No, I think it was 800 feet. It was the largest.
Can we keep
tower.
going?
And then another cool thing is that they actually have Jackie say that this is Canary Wharf, which
Yeah, I didn't get that. What's that?
in 2006, that is a real new business area of East London. So East London? Yeah, East London. So it was all new. The buildings had just started to open around the time that this episode aired. And the tallest building there is called One Canada Place. And Torchwood Tower is One Canada Place.
Whoa.
And... because you see the actual, like, there's a helicopter shot
Yeah.
looking at the buildings,
And I remember
that is
there's one-
literally so it's kind of like Nakatomi Plaza and Die Hard is really the people who should not be named, but the Fox Plaza, it's 20th Century Fox's corporate building, is Nakatomi Plaza. So I think Russell just had fun with it, and I'm sure the people who own Canary Wharf enjoyed it.
because it's used again, so it's like free advertisement for them.
Yeah. Well, the aerial shot's not from Doctor Who. It's from the British opening credits of their Apprentice. So it's a stolen shot. But, I kind of like it because, it really doesn't have to be there. But they actually have Jackie stand over by the window. Yeah. But I like how they just did in a little dose of reality, just a little bit like you can kind of look at it and go, oh, there's that building. That's really Torchwood.
That's cool.
I love it when they do things like
Yeah,
that.
me too.
I don't understand why they built a wall where the breach opens. Why not leave it as empty space? You built the room around it. Why are you putting a wall there?
Was the wall on the breach, or
They're
was
building
that
the whole.
just
No, it seemed like that's where the wall.
where it
the
appears
opening.
that the breach opened? Because they have to shoot those particle cannons at something. Maybe that's just where.
Again, I just wanted more explanation from this whole setup.
I also wanted to mention, since we did make a big deal out of it in the very first episode, there's glass breaking.
Yeah.
I have that down.
Okay.
It's my blue light. It's glass breaking.
And also when the doctor says to Yvonne, cancel the shifts, her retort reminded me of something Arlene said earlier. Not this episode, but earlier in our lives.
Alternate universe.
She says, the doctor lording us, assuming alien authority over rights of man. You're going on with the savior complex of the doctor. He's actually right in this instance.
He is, but I can see why they would say that because he says he's like the ultimate authority over things. So,
But again, it's just from what you were saying, and then here's the counter where it actually is correct what he's saying. So I just think that that's worth pointing out. And I also like how she delivers that to him.
I also like that we see limitations on psychic paper.
This is the first time we've
I think
seen
this is the first time we've seen limitations. So she shows the paper to Rajesh, and he's just like, "Yeah, it's psychic paper. That's funny." So it doesn't work on people who have been trained to identify it, and yet psychic paper works on computers.
Yeah, because that's how she got in.
Yeah, she puts the psychic paper up against a scanner, and it reads that it's an ID on a computer. So I thought that was an interesting little. Doesn't work on people, but computers it's fine with.
So she had to go to the computer. I should belong here, and then swiped it.
Yeah.
And again, they are trained against psychic paper, but not against realizing, oh, this person now has 2 earbuds and is acting very strange.
But the earbuds are so small and subtle. I mean,
Yeah.
you really just can't.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Super small. Yeah.
And most of the time you're looking at the profile when
Yeah.
she's walking up and down the corridor.
You just switched it. She got
Just
tired.
saying, for a spy organization, they should be a little more aware of what's happening.
And since Raj was able to notice psychic paper, so he's seen psychic paper before, right? But,
They've all been low-level
so it
psychic
makes me,
training.
it makes me wonder who else has used it.
Well, since they said the Doctor is number 1 enemy of Torchwood, this is something he would use, because they've had all this time. It's not just from the werewolf, but for all the time he
Sure.
worked at UNIT, so they know about the Doctor from then.
Auburn said low-level psychic training. I just saw it as that I can read. I can tell that.
You can tell there's nothing there. Yeah.
You can tell there's something weird
Yeah.
about this. Yeah, I kind of see it.
Because
That way, too.
did Raj say this is psychic paper that doesn't work on me? Or
No,
did
he just says it's blank.
Yeah, so it's more like that. Like I can tell this is blank because I've had low-level psychic training.
I guess I'm just thinking of the point of I've been trained for this specific thing, and then it happens in real life. I would have been more like, oh, that training is actually useful.
Yeah.
But I don't take it as they
Click.
were trained against
I've been
psychic
trained
paper.
for this.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah, like that.
Fake. Imposter.
Right.
Page
think they were-
47, paragraph 2. I know I read this.
It's always page 47. Rajesh calls Yvonne about Rose, and the doctor reveals the truth about Jackie. Yvonne hears the particle machines activate and tries to stop them, but it is too late. The doctor destroys the earpods in Addie's ears, and all 3 of the converted drop dead. Yvonne pulls off one of Addie's earpods and sees the long tendrils that have been controlling her.
When the Yvonne pulled that ear pod, Freema was still, the actress who plays Addie was still there, so all that goop dripped all over Freema's head. That's in the commentary.
Now, I know they have these sparks in like the drill or cutting utensil and the sparks flying. And it's like, how does that actually get into the head if you're going to do that? So that's one thing that always bugged me when the Cybermen are like converting people, that you hear the and you see the sparks going.
Actually, didn't you say last night that's them cutting their heads off, taking their brains out, putting it into a Cyberman, and
And sealing it.
then stuffing their stuff in and resealing the head?
No, that's not what I was thinking. Right, but they're doing that for Addie, for Matt. That same thing happens for them.
Yeah, and we hear the little
Drill.
So, I mean, it's a fun, great effect that's very strong, but not practical.
No.
Well, that's what, it was like, well, they're just cutting off part of the scalp, removing the brain, sticking the stuff in, and then attaching it right back up.
Or the noise was a red herring.
So that you don't hear the screams because they're doing construction.
That's it. It's actually the construction.
Yeah, or it's not that at all. Yeah, it's a cover.
It's just canned sounds.
That's it.
So many of the Doctor's theories in this episode are wrong
Yeah.
because he doesn't know what's going on. And since he doesn't have his normal companion next to him, people are asking him things. So he's coming up with ideas and theories rather than actual truth, saying that, well, whoever was coming through shot the sphere first like a cannonball to break through. That's not what happened at all. And so I just found that it's interesting. A lot of the things he's going through this whole episode trying to figure out and coming up with ideas and theories, they're just wrong. I just thought it was
He's
interesting
taking
because everyone goes to the doctor to
scientific
find out what's really
approach.
happening. And so when they go to the doctor, he's telling them something. Okay, it's a theory, but that he doesn't know what's happening. I just thought that was great.
Yeah.
And that always, as Jackie said earlier, that really pisses him off when he doesn't know what's happening.
I find it funny now that he's pissed off, where in the Satan Pit he's fascinated.
Right.
So it's interesting that the same thing is sort of happening, but yet 2 different
But
reactions.
this is Earth.
The sphere has begun thumping loudly and now registers on all monitoring devices, weight, mass, and electromagnetic fields. The sphere is active. Mickey tells Rose not to worry. They beat them before, they'll beat them again. The Cybermen escape from the alternate Earth, and Mickey followed to stop them here. Mickey Smith, defending the Earth.
I love Mickey here. I love Mickey.
It's good to have him back.
And how?
And how?
And he's happy to see Rose, but he's focused on his mission.
Yeah.
There's no romantic, it's like, oh, yeah, it's good to see you. Let me get my gun so I can shoot this. It's like you can tell Mickey has moved on.
And not metaphorically or innuendo. Let me get my gun.
Well, Billie Piper definitely played it. You know, Mickey before was always kind of meek, kind of, he might have been smart, but he was always in the background. And here he has taken charge, and Rose has no eyes but for Mickey during this whole section, where she missed him. And like Brian was saying, he says, "Oh yeah, it's good to see you too," but he's not even looking at her when he says that. But Rose is just enamored with this new Mickey that is take charge.
I don't know if I see that.
Oh, I see it.
You were too busy looking at Mickey like I was.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that.
Was Rose even in that scene? I don't remember.
It's Rose that you speak of.
Just like Arlene, where did you come from?
I think back to like World War III, where Mickey's going to be controlling the missile, and he's still like, somebody tell me to do it, or somebody tell me not to do it. He's like, I don't want to. And here he's just like, yeah, I got a gun, I'm going to use it, I'm going to blow him away. His life experience has changed him, and he's a much, much stronger character.
I agree.
And also, she never thought never ever would see him again.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it is, oh my gosh, you're back. Yay. And look at you. You've changed so much. You've grown so much.
And
so
you
I
don't
see it as a
stink.
romantic thing. I see more as just.
Not necessarily romantic, but just
Impressed, enamored.
impressed. Yeah.
Impressed, yes.
It could be romantic if there was any way that they were going to be spending more time together, but not yet. But definitely like that initial like, whoa, the first time you see, I don't know, an ex and they are not in the gutter, but they are driving around in like a new Mercedes and everything's going their way, and look at their beautiful family. It's that kind of thing where it's like, whoa, that wasn't what I was expecting.
He's no longer the tin dog.
Right.
He's the man in Havana? No, I guess not.
The Doctor and Yvonne follow the signal that was controlling the earpods down to the construction area and are captured by the Cybermen. They are brought back to the control room, where the Cybermen kill the background extras so we won't have to pay them the next episode. They also increase the ghost shift to 100%. An army of ghosts begin to appear, in larger numbers than ever before. They fully materialize through the breach, and Yvonne realizes that it's an invasion. The Doctor solemnly says, "It's not an invasion. It's too late for that. It's a victory."
Here's where we get the full homage to Tomb of the Cybermen with them ripping through the...
Yeah.
I love it.
Slicing through the
Plastic.
saran wrap. Yes, viewers, hinting at an episode to be posted real soon.
The Doctor asks the Cyber Leader how they were able to build a void ship, and the Cyberman replies that the sphere is not theirs. It broke into this universe, and they followed. The sphere opens, and from it comes Daleks.
What? Again, everybody's impressions of this episode are wrong. We don't know what's in the sphere. We're assuming it's Cybermen. We're assuming it has something to do with the Cybermen. We assume that the ghosts were the Cybermen, and so then
Unless
all of
you
a sudden,
paid attention to the coloring, like Auburn said.
yeah,
They gave us that hint, but
the sphere is very Dalek colored.
I'm always surprised when the Cybermen show up. Like, always. I just go on record as saying that. I never suspect it's them, and I don't know why.
Don't look behind you.
So what you're saying is, you always are surprised watching Doctor Who because they always show up.
Well, it's true, and maybe that's why I'm never expecting them to
Be
come.
them again.
Nobody expects the Dalek invasion.
There's something other than the Tomb of the Cybermen homage, if you will. The concept of the Cyber King mentioned by Mickey will eventually come about in the next Doctor, so keep that in mind. The next Doctor special, where the Doctor was without a companion, they have a Cyber King. The Cybermen and the Daleks being together, they were previously in classic series. They appeared together in The Wheel in Space, The War Games, The Mind of Evil, Legopolis, the 5 Doctor special, and this current series episode Dalek. But this is the first time that both the Cybermen and a Dalek or the Daleks play a major role. When people were watching this, they were thinking, oh yeah, we've seen the Cybermen and the Daleks face off before. This is actually the first time it had, because I think
never happened before.
Everybody just played, pretend that they did, with toys or in the playground. And then when it finally happened in the series, they're like, we've seen this before.
Yeah,
oh, no, we haven't.
Yeah, somebody in the confidential for this episode says, in the schoolyard, you always played
Yeah.
Cybermen versus Daleks.
But not on TV.
But it never happened on TV.
So that's another reason why this episode was
So special.
special.
The timing of the Cybermen crossing over, I thought was really odd. And they kind of just left it as, yeah, the Doctor would say something like that to kind of understand what was going on. But they're saying 5 million Cybermen made them 3 years to travel through the void because of the size of them. But there's no space or time or mass in the void. And so it's the breach that's that, or it's just sort of an odd timing for them to do it.
Yeah.
And when did the advance guard?
I think this is more of a discussion for the next episode.
So who is this episode good for? A new viewer, a casual viewer, a fan of the show, or a diehard?
Well, I might say something that might be a little controversial, but this is how I feel. I think this is good for everybody. I love this episode. I think this episode is a lot of fun. And I know it's the culmination of a series, maybe even 2 series. But this is very, very Doctor Who. I love it. And I'd show it to anybody. And that's my story. And I'm going to stick to it.
Brian, I'm about to blow your mind because I agree with you 100%.
Oh, wow.
Thinking about this, I was like, what category would I put this in? And I have to put it in the everyone category. It's I would show this to someone who had never seen this version of Doctor Who before.
They'll figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think there's enough. Yeah, I agree. I can't add anything to what you just said. I agree with you. This is good for everyone.
This is Auburn, and I will agree with both of you. I'll put this in the everyone because it is solid. We do get a little bit of the cold open. We get Rose's backstory very briefly, but enough to know who the Rose character is. There's not a lot of like weird stuff that would put somebody off. It's all pretty straightforward, all on Earth. You get comedy and you get emotions, and yeah, I think it's a good episode. And I think I would be comfortable showing it to somebody who had no Doctor Who experience.
I agree a lot with what you guys are saying, but I would not put it in that category. I think it would rob the people from experiencing a lot of it, that they don't have the history or the relationship of who Mickey is. You don't understand him coming back when he's supposed to never be there. You don't get that feeling. You don't understand the past between the Doctor and Jackie. It's like when she's kissing him, it's just funny, but you don't get the transition of how much that has changed, how much that has grown. I think there's so much in this that would just be robbed from somebody seeing it for the first time and not knowing the history of who any of these characters are. I think they'd like it. I think it'd be okay, but I think there's so much more to it. It can be appreciated by at least a casual viewer who has some familiarity with who the Cybermen are, what the pepper pots are, because all they're going to see is, okay, so what are these things coming out of it? They would not have that fear of the Daleks are now here. They would not get that suspense at the end. So I think at least a casual viewer, but I do think this is a great episode. This is the 2-parter is just fabulous. It's great. I love it. It's one of my favorites, but I wouldn't want to start somebody on it because I feel that it might get them into it, but I think it would rob them of so much other build-up to this episode.
Do you think, though, that it would entice them to go do more? To see
it might,
more?
But it's like telling people who Rosebud is before, so you'd see the whole movie, differently. Citizen Kane, you'd see differently, knowing what Rosebud is at the end. You'd look at it differently. We've all seen episodes and we go back and watch it and we pick up new things. So I think that whole experience would be gone.
But I also think that the first category, when we talk about a new viewer, they're different from a casual viewer in the fact that they may never watch another episode.
But if they are going to watch it again,
but then they're a casual viewer.
No, but if this is the first time this is the first one they see, there's so much to it that I think that they will miss. This goes back way back when Terminator 2 was coming out, and I did not watch any of the promos anywhere. The day before it actually comes out in the theaters, there was one commercial that was just on and passing, and it gave it away. It gave everything away. And I just felt I was robbed of that feeling in the theater to go, oh my gosh, the Terminator is back. What do you mean he's on the good side? Spoiler. What does he mean he's on the good side?
I was say that before.
But that's what the whole thing that bugs me. That's the whole idea. That if you get just somebody who hasn't done it and trying to get him into watching Doctor Who, I think there are other episodes that will do that and entice them and show some good aspects of it that don't give away 2 years of build-up, that don't give away an entire season of who and what Torchwood is in the build-up.
So, first of all, I kind of felt the way Frank did, but as someone who started watching this as a casual viewer and who's also never seen the Terminator. any of the movies. But you kind of already know what's going to happen with the Terminator because it came out when I was a child. So the same way, a lot of people have never watched Doctor Who, but if they've heard of it and they already kind of know what's going to happen, then these series are old. You think about it. Some of the students that I have were maybe in first grade when this came out. So this series is old. And they kind of know, so it doesn't matter if it's a spoiler or not. I think it's good for everyone. I think it's for the new viewer. I agree with you, Brian.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And also, Mickey looks hot in this episode, so it kind of boosts it up a little bit.
He's wearing like workout breathable attire.
That is just the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's like Under Armour.
And like, is it a turtleneckish kind of?
Because he adds the turtleneck later. And then he has vents for his armpits, like he's working out. It's weird.
But then again, he's been living on a planet that likes Zeppelins, so they have a different fashion sense.
Maybe they use that from old Zeppelin balloon material.
That's what it is.
We went for pants and they went for the tops.
Yeah.
It turns into a parachute at the end.
Oh my goodness, this is so hard for me right now because I agree with everybody and everything they've said, but
it's diehards only.
You just listened to an episode of I don't know, because I never knew. I mean, what Kelsey said about, and Arlene said about this show being older, and you would know what like the Dalek and the Cybermen are because they've been around for so long. I didn't know when I was watching this, and I remember when I first got into Doctor Who, they were on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I think this episode came up because I texted Brian. I was like, this is what's happening on this episode. Should I watch this? And he says, no, don't watch that episode.
Well, because you were already committed to
and so that
watching every single episode. At that point, it's like, yes, do it in order. You're already hooked.
Yeah, but I also agree with Frank, and like, this is a build-up, and I want somebody to watch these episodes with all of that coming at them and hitting them the way it should hit them, and it's intended to hit them the right way. I'm just going to have to go with a casual, but I am leaning toward new and casual, but I'll stick with casual.
So 1.5 viewer.
So that's
But what we're saying is it's not bad to show it to somebody
it's
new.
not.
And that we all really like this episode.
But it's personal preference.
It's just preference of if you are going to continue on to this, I think we made it clear. Sorry.
Yes. So there are our thoughts on Army of Ghosts. Let us know what you think. Do you think that the Cybermen are better than the Daleks, or do you think the Daleks are better than the Cybermen? Which is the better villain? Email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. That concludes our episode. We will see you next time for the conclusion of Series 2, when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook
At The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by our very own Auburn.
Find me at auburnbinkley.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcasts.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
You can leave comments there or email us at
whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
the longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman.
Verity Lambert.
Ron Grainer.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
We're good.
We're rolling.
And you did yourself?
Yeah, I am.
I was still talking.
I'm just watching the meters.
Milk. Really, Frank? Milk was a bad choice. I'm sorry.
I didn't want milk. I don't know why I poured it. I wanted the Pepsi. Oh, good gosh.
You want it with the donut?
I think that's why I was thinking it.
Yeah.
Because I'd given that to you.
That would have been our first on-screen or on-mic nose.
This is key. What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're doing Army of Ghosts.
Hello.